All right, welcome back, my friends. I'm John, and this is All Cars, where we talk all cars all the time, and I want to give you a big thank you. I started doing these reacts video to some of Motorweek Retro reviews, and I am so grateful to you for all the wonderful positive comments you've had. I really appreciate it, and these are so much fun for me. Now, if you haven't been here before, I invite you to go check out some of my older videos, because I went through a period there of about 2 months where I just absolutely ranted about trucks today. I did videos about how the big trucks were so huge, they were so expensive and appreciating, or not even, the prices were increasing faster than cars were. The mid-sized trucks today are as big as the trucks of the 90s, and completely lamenting the loss of the smaller truck, right? The compact truck, the truly compact trucks, like the Nissan Frontier and the old Ford Ranger and the Chevy S10. Well, Motorweek did in 1986 a retro review of a compact Sport Truck Comparo, looking at the Ford Ranger, the Chevy S10, the Isuzu P'UP, and the Mazda B2000. And today we're going to jump into it. We're going to watch this, and I'm going to react as we go along. In full disclosure, I did watch this, but I think it was a couple of years ago at least. I don't remember the order they came out with. I honestly remember one thing in the whole video, and I think it's where, might have been the Isuzu, the rear windows came up onto the roof, something like that. So anyway, let's kick this off and see what we think. Thanks for being here, and don't forget, grab a piece of paper, write down your initial impressions of what you think the order is going to be, and then we'll see at the end what if we're right?
Trucks for all reasons, mid-size, extended cab, sporty pickups. And which one does it better? Find out from our special pickup comparison test coming up next on Motorweek.
So I want to interject here. This guy has done this for, what, 40 years now? Something like that. I don't know. Truly, I remember him as a kid doing this. And he's reviewed every kind of car imaginable. And it's always for public stations, right? It's been Motor Week, and when you think about the Car and Drivers and the Automobile magazine out there, Top Gear, how much does public television automotive journalism pay? Because he's been the feature, he's been the standard. They've got the mechanic guy that comes on, Goss's Garage, I think it is, and then they've always had these other people filling in who drive the car. I just wonder how he got into this and how much this actually pays. It can't be very much.
Nearly 3 out of every 10 new vehicles bought by U.S. consumers are pickup trucks or other light utility models. And why not? Pickup trucks are more versatile and cost much less than comparably equipped cars.
Okay, see, that's what I'm talking about right there. I did a whole video on it. If you go back to 1990 and compare the small trucks with a small car and a mid-sized car with a larger truck, the cars are more expensive, okay? Trucks at one point were the cheaper alternative, comparably equipped. And we've totally lost that. Is it the price of materials? Is it greed? Is it hubris? Why? Why are you gouging me? I want a $17,000 small truck, guys. Who's listening?
When loaded with options. And trucks with elongated cabs and jump seats do provide reasonable comfort for growing families. Well, those are enough reasons for us to take a closer look at this American phenomenon by comparing 5 sporty extended cab mid-size pickup trucks. The 2 domestic titans of the pickup market sent us their best: Chevrolet, its S10 Tahoe Maxi Cab, and Ford, this Ranger STX Super Cab. And we have 3 imports: this Isuzu P'UP LS Space Cab, Mazda sent us this B2000 Se5 Cab Plus, and Nissan this SE King Cab.
All right, so right off the bat, I'm going to say, first off, I didn't realize the Nissan was in here. we have the benefit of hindsight, right? We kind of know how some of these held up. The Isuzu, I remember it from many, many years ago. I always thought it was pretty good looking, a little funky in this 1986 garb. My remembrance of the Isuzus were that the great engines, really reliable, durable engines, didn't have the same feeling towards their body, but I remember sitting in one and it having like where the plastic was molded, you know, sharp edges, like it was never, like it never finished. It was just a really cheap interior. The Nissan, I love the Nissan, and I like the Mitsubishi. It always felt, the Mazda. The Mazda always struck me as the most car-like of them. The Nissan, I think, right off the bat, I think the Nissan's probably going to do the best. I have that high of an opinion of it. The S10 and the Ranger, I think they're both going to do very, very good. I mean, Americans are great at building trucks. We can look back with 2020 hindsight. I know the S10, people swear by it, and there's one down the road from me here. I have no idea what year that is or how many miles it has on it. It's beat to heck, and it still runs. But a lot of people had trouble with their S10s. Maybe it was the later body, the more rounded ones that really started to cause the problems. I think the Ford's going to do really, really well too. I think the P'UP won't. I think the Mazda probably won't. I think it'll be the least truck-like of.
Base prices range between $8,000 and $10,000, but we wanted each model to come with the flashiest trim, largest engine, and most popular options. So as tested prices range from $9,000 to almost $14,000. We've set up 5 separate categories, and we'll give you our first through 5th choices in each one.
Now, just remember, guys, there was a time where you could go buy a $9,000 small pickup truck. Bring it back, guys. That's all I'm looking for here. And out of comparison, that would be somewhere slightly over probably $18,000 now in today's dollars. The only thing we might have that's close to that is the new Ford Maverick that's coming out, and it's a unibody. You know, come on. Bring them back, guys.
Starting with Sporty Appearance. That includes styling and the quality of body fit and trim and paint finish, inside and out. Utilities next. Practically speaking, the basis for any pickup choice. But for us, we also want to know how each can hold a growing family of 4. It's just as important as how many sheets of plywood each can carry. We can't leave out performance, of course. If pickups are now doing family duty, they'd better be able to accelerate, handle, and stop with reasonable proficiency. That leads us to everyday drivability. We'll judge interior noise, smoothness and control of highway ride, seating comfort, and naturally mileage. Finally, affordability, a big reason for pickup popularity. But even here, value for the dollar can be deceiving. We'll look at the amount of standard equipment and the cost of major options. Our overall winner will be decided by how well each truck performs in the individual categories. By the way, this year we're offering a transcript of our comparison, and we'll have our address for that later. But enough talk, let's pick the...
I wonder what happens if you mailed them today and asked for a transcript, 24 years later.
Things up and find out just why these pickups are being called trucks for all reasons. First category, Sporty Appearance, and the lead-off hitter, the Chevrolet S10 Maxi Cab. It looks tough but handsome and is easy on the eye. Rounded corners make it look more compact than it actually is. It also wears the cab extension well. We like the Tahoe package, even if the metallic paint was splotchy and dull. Inside, the S10 is airy and expensive looking, and the novel instrument cluster is both original and functional.
Oh, come on. I think the S10 is really good looking. I think it's distinctive. I think it's good looking. I don't think the Ford looks quite as good. But that dashboard, come on. I mean, this period in the 80s and even into the 90s of doing funky things with your dashboard and eventually moving to digital stuff just so you appear cutting edge. This is hideous to me, and it's one step away from the old speedometers that were about that long and the needle swept all the way across like this. I can't stand this. This would be a major detriment to me if I was shopping in 1986 for a new truck.
The The Ford Ranger Super Cab looks the most like a traditional pickup, so its cab extension looks like just that. The big chrome STX seems out of place in today's market. We did like the stripe package that goes with it, but not its exposed and uneven edges at the tailgate.
Remember, Ford, mid-80s, their slogan was quality is job one.
Nor the fact that the cargo box was offset to one side. The Ranger did have the best paint job, but those other quality flaws cost the Ranger a lot of points. The plastic wood interior also drew mixed reviews, yet the no-nonsense gauges were easy to scan. Isuzu's pickup has always been called the P'UP. Our Space Cab, meaning spacious, looks tall, too much so for the low window line, so the overall styling looks unbalanced. Red Space Cab stripes are supposed to add a more sporting look, but end up being gaudy. On the other hand, the LS lower body panel and the tailgate graphics look just fine.
You know, the roof there, that's funny. That actually looks like a conversion van, like where they took the roof off and then put in a bump. It looks completely like an afterthought. And then adding that stripe to it just makes it worse, but come on, it's got a sunroof. Not a great looking truck, but not bad.
Good paint job too. The P'UP's interior looks cheaper and more dated than the others, but dash controls are well integrated and the main cluster is clear with white on black markings. Mazda's B2000 Cab Plus has very modern styling, including a down-sloping front end, but the long cab add-on is squared off like the Ford's. We cared even less for the overdone Se5 stripe kit. They run at confusing angles and clash with the styling. The black paint had a deep shine, but also plenty of orange peel.
And you see, I think this truck has really nice lines. I like the cab on it, and they were talking about it being squared off. I like that in the Ford. It looks truckish, but he's absolutely right. This stripe package, just do away with it. And I do not like these wheels at all. But honestly, the styling of it, I really like this truck. Looks a little more car-like at the front.
Inside, this Mazda is utilitarian, but with better seat fabrics than on many cars. The dash is functional and the orange gauges clear. The Nissan King cabs are advertised as hard bodies, with fenders that look like they're on steroids. But that macho styling isn't totally pleasing to the eye, even though the Nissan has the most American look of the imported group. Indeed, it was designed in California and ours assembled in Tennessee. The SE trim means a gray lower body stripe. Matching alloy wheels are part of a sports package. But the folding into the roof quarter windows and doors make the cab extension look carefully designed. That spacious cab is well appointed, though like a lot of Japanese cars, the dash looks chopped up. Gauges are clear and, like the Mazdas, glaring with day-glow orange. Now, these smaller trucks may carry more folks than fiberboard, but utility is still a key category. The Chevy S10 Maxi Cab has a 6-foot 1-inch cargo box, but like the rest, it flunked the traditional 4x8-foot plywood test. It has the smallest standard payload, 1,000 pounds, but Chevy says that's 1,000 usable pounds, no matter how many heavyweight options like air conditioning you add. Our truck had extra cost side rails, and bedwall eye hooks are standard. Cargo room behind the seat is hurt by the small cup holding tray that actually houses tire tools. But Chevy can give you lots of interior storage space, a deep glove box, handy under-dash shelf, console well, and hard-sided door map pockets. The side-facing jump seats are twisted slightly to the front for better legroom, but we wish the side windows would open.
Come on, they got somebody, they're pressing on it like they're trapped underwater. That's hilarious. You know, I get that not everybody that buys a truck is a contractor and needs to carry a 4x8 sheet of plywood, and honestly, it's one of my big concerns about the small trucks that are coming out, the new Hyundai, the Ford Maverick that's coming out. You know, they're going to have these short little beds on them, and I've said many, many times, I don't need that. I'm not a contractor, but I do go to Home Depot once in a while. There we go. And you know, I do have to buy some lumber, and part of the reason for having a truck would be able to get it home. So if you're not going to give me an 8-foot bed, and I get that you're not, make the back pass through. I don't know why more people aren't doing that, but you know, this bed on the Chevy, it's a little disappointing. The back seat, something here about the Chevy strikes me as not completely thought out. Like the seats and the tools, they reached a point of good enough and then they sent it out.
The Ford Ranger Super Cab's cargo box is just over 6 feet long. Like the Chevy, the wheel wells are flat for easier loading. Standard payload, 1,330 pounds. It was the only truck to have post holes to hold on tall loads. With the STX trim, you get a cargo light and a cargo cover for hiding valuables behind the seat, in space that was the most usable of the group.
No, that's a really nice, that's a nice option, that cargo cover. I mean, you see that in SUVs all the time, right? But that's really nice.
There's a shelf above the deep glove box, along with useful door pockets. It's easy getting into the side-mounted jump seats, but like the Chevy, the side windows are fixed. Our Isuzu Space Cab has a slightly longer cargo box than Ford or Chevy's. Payload rating is 1,600 pounds, but that includes riders, and it decreases as you add options. Like all 5, it has tie-downs in the bed walls. The inside wall of the cargo box seems the flimsiest of the group. All our trucks had at least one seat that moves to help you get into the jump seats, but the sliding passenger seat on the Space Cab left the most step-up room. The tall roof means lots of headroom, but there's not much room for wider bodies. The Isuzu, like all the imports, have opening rear windows, a nice touch. Like the Ford, the Isuzu has a cover for the narrow bay.
Oh, look at that, and it's got a little curtain that drops down so somebody couldn't look through the seats and see what was under the cover. That's pretty smart thinking right there.
Dash storage includes a wide glove box, cup holder, a cubby hole in the console, and door pockets. The Mazda B2000 had the optional bed liner that also has tie-downs built in. It'll secure the standard payload capacity of 1,400 pounds. Inside, there's plenty of room for luggage behind the seats, a big glove box, cup holder, and plenty of dash storage. Unlike the others, the Mazda's jump seats face forward, making them suitable for children or kiddie car seats.
That looks really uncomfortable to get out of. I mean, it looks like you're just sitting on the floor on a little cushion and having to lift yourself out of it. I guess if you're sticking your kids back there, it's not a big deal, but that looked uncomfortable.
At least the side windows open. The Nissan Hardbody has a 6-foot 1-inch long bed with a 1,400-pound rating. Like the rest, it uses double wall construction. We like their most unique idea, spring-loaded tie-down.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I don't know that I've seen anybody else that really has that. Not on the outside, on the top like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's a really cool idea right there.
Eye hooks are also provided in the bed walls. The side windows open, and a sliding rear window is included in the King's SE package. Room in the back is good for 2 side-facing adults. Hard door pockets are provided, along with a deep glove box. Storage behind the seat was among the best of the group, but we did miss a cargo cover. Since light trucks often substitute for passenger cars these days, performance is more and more important. Not many come close to good car performance, but our crop of extended cabs shows the gap is closing. Chevy's S10 Maxi Cab is the first of the V6 contingent, with a throttle body injected 2.8-liter connected to a 4-speed automatic. It discharges a peak of 125 horsepower and 150 pound-feet of torque. But it's slow to rev, which left it with only a 3rd-place finish in the 0 to 60 contest at 12.8 seconds. However, it was also slow to downshift, so its 5.5-second passing time tied for last. That's still within an acceptable range.
I don't know. I don't think that should be any criticism. I mean, these are trucks, and they might be being used as passenger cars, but they're not going to be raced. You know, even the retro review react I did on the Econo boxes, these numbers are competitive with the Econo boxes. Bigger engines, but heavier vehicles. I don't think that's terribly fair.
Handling was somewhat more unsettling. Lots of plow caused heavy steering in transitions. However, it did act extremely stable, and the rear end never once came unglued. Braking performance was reasonable, if not exceptional, with some rear lock and slide. Stopping distances after 6 tries were 136 feet. Pedal pressure was good with little fade. The Ford Ranger was up next, powered by a multi-point fuel-injected V6 rated at 140 horsepower and 170 pound-feet of torque.
So the Chevy had a throttle body injection. This has a multi-point injection. You go Ford.
With marginally the strongest and the smoothest engine in our test, it was no surprise that it was also the fastest, 0 to 60 12.5 seconds. Even with its 4-speed automatic, passing was only a shade slower than the best manual at 4.7 seconds. Its Eagle GT tires, which come with the STX package, also helped its handling. The unloaded rear was docile. Our only real complaint was power steering that couldn't keep up with fast wheel cutting. Brakes were extremely easy to control with only minor rear lock. The 135-foot stopping distance fell midway in the pack. Our Isuzu Space Cab came equipped with a 2.3-liter 4-cylinder rated at 96 horsepower with 123 pound-feet of torque. It's exceptionally torquey when combined with its standard 5-speed manual gearbox, so 0 to 60 was a good 13.2 seconds. Passing time was best of the group, 4.3 seconds. Handling was expectedly lazy with lots of roll, but some felt it was more nimble than the two American-made trucks. The rear end never felt like it would become uncontrollable without plenty of warning. But braking was less impressive, with some lock and rear end slide. The P'UP's 137-foot stopping average from 55 was worst of the group, but that's still only 5 feet longer than the best. The Mazda Se5 had the smallest engine, a 2-liter 4-cylinder with output of only 80 horsepower and 110 pound-feet of torque. But even though its 0 to 60 time was the slowest at 13.9 seconds, it made a stronger showing in passing at 5.1 seconds. The light over the front wheels engine probably had a lot to do with the Mazda being judged our best handler.
Yeah, I wish they would say what the weights of all these cars were. I know they're given the 80 horsepower engine, whatever, but I'd like to know what the weight comparison was. I'm getting the distinct impression that certainly the Isuzu and the Mazda are much lighter than the Ford and the Chevy that came before them with the small V6s.
It was very nimble and could be driven most like a car. Brakes were good too. It tied with the best for the shortest distance at 132 feet. There wasn't any noticeable rear end lockup or instability, but there was more brake fade than on the other pickups. Nissan makes the only V6 powered import truck using a detuned version of the overhead cam 3-liter found in the 300ZX. Ratings were similar to the Ford's at 140 horses and 166 pound-feet of torque. So was initial acceleration. 0 to 60 was 12.7 seconds with a manual, which made for second best. But power poops out early, so the Hardbody tied for pokiest passing at 5.5 seconds. In our slalom test, the Nissan would jump into a turn quickly and then just as quickly scrub off the most speed. That kind of plow, power steering that couldn't keep pace, and lots of soft spring body roll made this Hardbody a handful. It did redeem itself in brake.
That's kind of a disappointment. I think that the Mazda results we just saw are exactly what I expected. The most car-like, perhaps. But the Nissan with the V6, I really thought it would do a lot better. I guess that's just a lot of weight over the wheels being plowed off, and they don't have quite the truck chops, perhaps, that Ford and Chevy did. A little disappointing because I like the Nissan.
Braking though, stopping distances tied Mazda's at 132.
You know, straight on, I'll be darned if that thing doesn't look like a Yugo to me.
It was secure with minimal premature rear lockup. But the final measure of how a pickup operates day to day is to put performance to the test of highway drivability. The bow tie brigade's entry wasn't a favorite for long trips. The cabin may be roomy with lots of foot room, but the ride is quite harsh. The S10 rides like a truck, and we don't mean that as a compliment. Its smooth styling does keep wind noise at a low 68 decibels. Yet the Chevy's test mileage of 21 and its 42-foot turning circle were the poorest of the group. Our Ford Ranger...
Okay, so the Chevy is the most truck-like, the most unrefined, the largest turning circle, and the worst gas mileage. Can't say I'm surprised. I guess that would kind of be my opinion, you know. It's a truck. It's a trucky truck, and it's a working truck. It's not a posing truck. I understand their concerns, but I'm not surprised.
Had extremely comfortable front sports seats with plenty of footroom.
Look how plush those seats look. Did you see that? They looked so thick and comfy.
On the road, its ride was most like a car's. It was the least tiring on long trips. True to Ford form, sound level readings at 55 were the lowest at 67 decibels. The powerful engine and overdrive automatic transmission combined for a test mileage of 23 miles per gallon. The Ranger's wide 41-foot turning circle was typical of the group. We found the Isuzu Space Cab's cabin comfortable as long as you don't need too much leg room. But thanks to a stiff ride, a buzzy engine, somewhat flimsy feel, and the group's highest sound level of 72 decibels, the Space Cab was only in demand for moderate-length commutes. On the plus side, mileage was very good at 26, a tie for second best. The 40-foot turning circle was also shorter than all but one other. Mazda's Cab Plus cabin is comfortable, but not nearly as roomy as either the Ford or Chevy. Legroom is fine unless you're over 5'8". Mazda ride is smooth, even though bumps transmitted quite a thump through the cabin. Long trips in the Mazda left us reasonably fresh. Sound readings were second highest at 69 decibels, still good even for a car. The Mazda's smallest engine gave it the best fuel economy at 28. A wide 41-foot turning circle was the same as the Ranger.
This is okay. So I'm not surprised. The Isuzu was cheap feeling, flimsy feeling, noisy. 72 decibels is a lot. The difference between 68 and 72 is big. It's a logarithmic increase, I believe. It's not linear, and it was exhausting. And that's not a big surprise. Isuzu is not terribly known for the most refined cars and trucks, I think, but I do respect them for their durability. The Mazda, this is a little bit of a surprise to me. They said you do end up relatively refreshed at the end of a trip, but it wasn't as refined as the Ford. I mean, honestly, if I could just go back, probably the Ford would be the one I would buy, but I guess I'm a little surprised here at the Mazda. I thought it'd be a little bit stronger than what they're saying, how they're wording it. But this is frustrating because the turning diameter here, the P'UP does it in 40 feet, and they're like, that's really good. And then the Mazda does it in 41, and they're like, oh, this is large. It's 1 foot, and this is competitive with everything else they've been testing.
The Nissan King Cab also fared well on the open road. Seats were firm with great support. Front legroom in this redesigned Nissan was the best of all the imports and second only to the Fords. The ride was soft, a bit too soft, yet the gushy ride produced little fatigue. Tar strip thumps were more noticeable than in the Ford, even with a low sound reading of 68 decibels. Mileage was a surprisingly high 26. Turning circle was a surprisingly small 39 feet, and that's the group's tightest. But for a lot of small pickup buyers...
Okay, so that kind of justifies what I've always thought. The Nissan was one of the best of the time. Highest gas mileage, tight turning circle, soft ride, tells you it's really not made for contractors, right? Probably would sink down really bad if you loaded it up. But, the roomiest of the imports, second to the Ford. I've mentioned the Hardbody so many times for so many months and so many videos, and it's cool to watch this because really, I like this truck. Now, let's see what else they say.
Final choice will come down to value for the money or affordability. We considered two prices here. First, we took the price of each brand's sportiest stretch cab model with the largest available engine. Then we added the most frequently ordered options: jump seats, air conditioning, power steering, and stereo cassette radio. The second price was the actual sticker of the truck we tested. The Chevy S10 Tahoe Maxi Cab will set you back about $11,000 nominally equipped, but a long list of extras, including overdrive automatic, power windows, side rails, and a lot more, sends its price to $13,300. The Ford Ranger STX Super Cab carries a slightly higher tab of $11,500. That's with our preferred equipment list. But Ford offers option packages that include things like Eagle GT tires, 4-speed auto transmission, and much more. So even with a reasonable test price of $12,200, our Ranger was loaded. The Isuzu P'UP LS Space Cab comes with most of our wish list standard. It'll cost you about $10,400. Our truck had only a few extra items on board for a total cost of $10,700.
Okay, so just right there, the Ford is by far, from what we've just watched, it's the better value between, say, the Ford and the Chevy. Chevy's a little more expensive, the Ford's a little cheaper, and seems to be a better performer overall than the Isuzu, which, let's be honest, it does not sound like it's doing that great. They didn't love the interior, they didn't love the handling and the performance, but it is the least expensive at $10,500. Not a big surprise there.
But the Mazda B2000 Se5 Cab Plus cost even less, under $9,500, and that's with our list of required equipment. It's definitely the cheapest. However, our test truck didn't have either power steering or the cassette deck, and actually cost about $9,000. Anyway,
sign me up, guys. A Mazda B2000, a truck that I had driven in the past, I liked because it felt so car-like. For $9,000? $1,500 less than the Ford? That's amazing. Not the most truckiest, workish truck. Trucky, worky truck. But if you want something that you're bombing around in every day, you go to the grocery store, you're driving to work, and once in a while you need to pick up some mulch, heck yeah.
You slice it, the Nissan SE King Cab cost the most. Its comparably equipped tab is about $12,100, but that includes a sports package with a sunroof. The truck we tested cost $13,500 and includes power windows and mirrors, super stereo, and a rear step bumper.
Super stereo.
And that's it. 5 mid-size extended cab pickups and 5 categories. Which one will get the nod? Beth, thanks. Craig? Okay, while we go off and add up our scores, we're going to turn things over to Pat Goss for his views on how to keep these pickups working better.
I hate Pat Goss. No offense to him and the actor, but it was the worst part when I was growing up and I was watching these. I wished I could fast forward past them. I never liked listening to him. He never seemed to have any relevant information to me. And so the advantage of YouTube is I'm going to be able to hit the fast forward button right here and skip him talking about boxes in trucks.
Thanks, Pat. And now for our summary. The result.
Yes, I totally believe when he was just looking off there that Pat was just right there, probably at the next bay over, you know, even though he looked like he was inside, I'm sure he was looking at him. So before we get into it here, guys, I'm curious, what is your order? I'm a little conflicted over the top 3. I'll be honest with you. I think the P'UP is by far the lowest, even with the low price. I think it comes in at number 5. I think the S10 would come in at number 4. Just doesn't come across great, maybe because it might be the most truck-like of them all. And if you're a Chevy loyalist, you probably hate me right now, but I don't know. I like them as a used truck. I think they're cool. I think they maybe aren't the classic, but I like it when I see the old S10s out there. But if right now these 5 cars were available to me, I think the S10's got to be number 4. The top 3, I'm a little mixed on. And I think it depends on what I wanted to do with it. I think from a loyalty standpoint and from trusting a company to build a truck that can do everything well at the same time, I think the Ford is kind of the runaway success. It's got a good engine, relatively good performance, you know, most comfortable, one of the quietest, kind of on the expensive side, but, you know, for the group, but not really. But again, having some hindsight here and looking back, I don't know that I would choose it today if these 5 trucks were still available. So I want to say the Ford, but I think I'm going to put the Ford 3rd. I think I would put the Mazda 2nd, and I think I'd put the Mazda 1st, and I think I'd put the Hardbody 2nd. And that's looking at it from right now. If I was buying one of these and I was going to drive it on an everyday basis, I don't need to carry something. I don't need the most powerful one. You know what? The weakest engine, the softest ride, and good comfort for the lowest price. I think I'd be perfectly happy with that for the few times a year that I need to go pick up some plywood or whatever it happens to be. The Nissan is one of my favorite trucks of this era. I loved it, and it was super reliable, but I think the Mazda is the more car-like of the two of them. And then I think the Ford would be coming in there just because sheer loyalty to Ford and wanting to buy American. The one thing I'm surprised at here is where's the Toyota? Honestly, why is there not a Toyota pickup in this? I mean, it seems like such an obvious comparison to have that, and we all know that that's, you know, one of the longest lived trucks out there. So what's your order?
Results of each of our 5 categories and our overall winner. In our first category, Sporty Appearance, the Chevrolet S10 Maxi Cab looked the part best. And even with its confusing stripes, the Mazda B2000 Cab Plus was next. It was followed closely by the macho Nissan King Cab, the Ford Ranger Super Cab, and the Isuzu P'UP Space Cab. For utility, we picked the most traditional truck in the group, the V6 Ford Ranger. It barely beat the new Nissan King Cab and a domestic rival, the Chevrolet S.
Yeah, I don't think there's any surprise here in this order, really at all. Maybe between the Nissan and the Chevrolet, but I don't think there's a surprise there.
10. In the battle between 4 cylinders, the Isuzu topped the Mazda. The performance prize also went to a 6-cylinder truck, the same one in fact. The Ford Ranger's top acceleration and good combination of handling and brakes made it the leader of the pack. The Mazda's fine handling was enough for second spot. Chevy, Nissan, and Isuzu filled out the order. In drivability, the Ranger, with its excellent comfort and quiet ride, copped first place again. The Nissan notched up a solid second, though, followed by Mazda, Chevy, and Isuzu in that order. As for affordability, first place choice is no surprise. It's the inexpensive Mazda Cab Plus. Dollar for dollar, the most for the least. The Ford Ranger slipped, but only to second. Nissan's higher-priced packages dropped it to third, a slightly better value than the Isuzu Space Cab or the last-place Chevy S10. And that brings us to the overall winner. As you can probably tell, most category rankings were very close, the closest of any comparison test we've done. Differences between any of them will pretty much be a matter of buyer taste, but there has to be a winner here. And there is. With 3 first-place finishes in utility, performance, and drivability, it's the Ford Ranger STX Super Cab. Next, with a top spot in value, the Mazda B2000 Se5 Cab Plus. Nissan chalked up third place, with the SE King Cab finishing near the top in both utility and drivability. The Chevy S10 Tahoe Maxi Cab was tops in appearance, but it lost ground in value and drivability and came in fourth. Last but hardly least, the Isuzu P'UP LS Space Cab. It's a useful design, and even with its 5th place finish, it has a lot to offer.
You know, one thing I didn't like about how they did that is in the React video I did for the Econo boxes of 1982, they actually divvied up points for each category, and they had a number of reviewers who were driving them. And so, say in handling, you know, you had 300 points that could be assigned. So you actually saw how close or how far apart they were, as well as at the final rankings. I would have liked that. I would have liked to have seen how close things were. My order was relatively close, except the Ford wasn't third, it was tops. Everything else was basically the same, and I'm not surprised. Ford, you know, again, if you're a Chevy loyalist, I apologize, but Ford builds excellent trucks, and they're a reason they're the best-selling truck for so many decades, because they consistently don't do anything really wrong. Here, you can see the Mazda might be more car-like, and it's certainly cheaper. The Hardbody might do some things better, but the Ranger was just the most complete package. For those who were Chevy loyalists, I don't think you would be unhappy with the S10, but you know, certainly Isuzu was fighting uphill, and it was all through the 80s and beyond, of trying to get into the market, trying to make a name, and trying to get some respect. Mazda, I'm surprised at how inexpensive it was. It feels to me almost like they took a car and made it into a truck. It's not a unibody. It's not the old, what the heck was that thing called? The Rabbit pickup truck that Volkswagen had, front wheel drive and stuff like that. But still, it looks and feels the most car-like to me. And I think that would be refreshing, but I don't think you could go wrong with the Ford. I can't argue with it being number one.
We don't mind telling you that this was the toughest comparison we've ever done. But if you'd like to linger a while longer over our results, you can send for a transcript of our pickup comparison. Just send $3 to Motorweek Pickup Test, Owings Mills, Maryland, 21117.
Okay, so who's with me? Who wants to send $3 to Motorweek today? This is 2021. I think it would be a hoot. You know, they're the ones that uploaded this retro review and didn't edit out this information. I think it'd be cool to type a letter, stick $3 in it, send it to Motorweek, and see if they'll actually send you a transcript from 1986. How cool would that be?
That's $3 to Motorweek Pickup Test, Owings Mills, Maryland, 21117. So good hauling, and we'll see you here next week on Motorweek.
All right, guys, I appreciate it. I know I was pretty quiet on this one relative to the other ones. There was just not a lot of stuff to comment on without really nitpicking. Like on the glove boxes, why did you have to pinch, right? I guess that was an improvement when my first car had a knob you had to turn. I don't know. I'd like to know your thoughts and what order you would put them in. Please comment and list the order you would have either ranked them here or the order in which you would consider them for purchase in today's market. In your life right now, you were going to buy one of these, which order would you put them in? Like I said, I think I might put the Mazda first, but boy, that Nissan would be tempting to me. And then you can't go wrong with the Ford. So love to hear back from you, and I hope you like this one. Please give me a thumbs up on this video. It really helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks, guys.